Hey, what's going on YouTube? Today I just wanted to go for a drive and kind of just wanted to share with you guys a culmination of all the stuff that I've been observing so far the last few weeks of owning my BRZ. And so currently on the odometer she's sitting at 815 miles, so I'm hoping that at the end of this video I'll probably be hitting my 1K mark and I'll be in preparations for my very first oil change. So I have a bunch of stuff still on the way. Definitely I'm going to be lowering this car. She's going to be going aftermarket, so let's just do a little quick walk around before she gets lowered and she gets put onto my aftermarket wheels. So this is the only spot I was able to find in this general area. This is where I used to take the Subaru guys, the WRX and STI groups out, and we used to do our cruise. So we would come down from the top of the mountain down to this bridge and then head out back that way up towards the mountain. So this is also going to be my very first time mountain curving with this car, and see how she does, and I'll give you guys my honest feedback of everything that I'm experiencing. So yeah, she's still beautiful. All of the flutters and stuff is still there, still fresh. No regrets leaving the WRX. Do miss power a little bit, small little gripe, but let's get in the car and go for a drive. Still absolutely love my infotainment system. Fuel economy isn't too great. The capacity is a lot lower than what I'm used to, so definitely I found myself visiting the pump quite often with this car. But she's very, very fun to drive. So let's let these cars go first, and then we will head up the mountain. So I have suspension on the way. I'm waiting on TPMSs before I buy tires. Oh, almost witnessed an accident right here. And so I'm just waiting. Once I get everything in, I will dial in my aftermarket setup, so I'll make this car look a lot nicer and more flashy. I also learned something too, that this vehicle can store 2 sets of TPMSs, so one for the track and one for your daily use. How to access it is down here in the glove box. There's a button on the left side. Definitely big kudos to Kevin Vo for that. Okay, let's wait a little bit and then just downshift to second gear and go for it. Again, definitely not as fast as my WRX, but the overall enjoyment from this car, again, I'll keep saying it again and again, is a lot better. And I think it's primarily because of the new FA24 as well as the rev limit, the rev range. So up to a little past 7, I love the fact that I feel like this car can breathe a lot better. And there's ample amount of power. There's not a lot of power, but there's ample enough to have a blast and have fun. So like right out the gate right now, going on an uphill, this car isn't like really gasping for air. It's not really struggling per se. I'm sitting in 3rd gear right now, and I could easily catch up to that red truck if I really wanted to. Cornering is absolutely amazing. I feel like it's definitely a lot better than my WRX. The only caveat is that I no longer have the all-wheel drive system to correct me if I ever make a mistake. So I'm definitely, very alert now. I'm nervous that if I take a corner too hard, I might, understeer and just hit a wall. So other thing I'm noticing right now too immediately is like I definitely need better brakes. The stock brakes are very spongy, especially with being up here right now. I could kind of feel it. So definitely I'm going to be upgrading to some performance brake pads for sure and looking into that. So I'm completely brand new to track, so I don't know much about track. I've been reading a ton of stuff, but it just seems like it's such an expensive sport, and it's a little daunting with so much you have to buy and prep ahead of time. And I'm a type of guy to prepare myself first before I jump in. I don't want any hiccups or any mistakes, any problems, essentially. The other thing, since we're talking about track and performance, this car is not fast, and I feel as though a lot of the people who I'm seeing so far on this platform who are griping about horsepower, they've chosen the wrong car. This car is definitely not fast on a straight line, but again, it's similar to the WRX and the STI, where out the gate, where this car shines is in its handling capabilities. So I don't think the amount of money that you spend to make this car go faster is really worth it, in my opinion. But to each their own. That's just my honest opinion. I think with the Gen 2 BRZ and the GR86, they have more than enough power. And honestly, right now I'm leaning more towards just keeping this car a performance stock and just focusing specifically on suspension mods, and just improving myself as a driver. And adding on to that too, and I feel like I've been babied with the Subarus, WRXs, and STIs, because modifying with a comp access port is so much more simple and easy. I'm familiar with Ecotech, but Ecotech seems to be the go-to on this platform, and it's a type of patent open source tuning. So definitely I need to read more into that, because I'm not too familiar with Ecotech or the licensing and all of that stuff that kind of comes with it. I think my general rule of thumb after reading everything is just, I need to find myself a tuner who knows this car in and out, and I might just be hitting up Travis from Snell Performance again, who's a local tuner to us here in the Sacramento/Auburn area. So for now, I will kind of just leave performance by itself, and I'll just focus specifically on just enjoying this car, handling, and like I said, looking forward to my suspension and my aftermarket wheels, and just kind of see where I go from there. The other thing I wanted to talk about too is just that everything in this platform is stupid cheap, especially compared to what I've been used to. I've said this before, that there's a thing called the Subaru tax in the WRX and STI community, and it's not necessarily the case here for the BRZ and the GR86 platform. And I think it may be the fact that because this car is cross developed and co-developed by Subaru and Toyota, there's an abundance of parts, and essentially most of them are pretty much interchangeable. So volume is very, very high, and this car itself is sold as a affordable performance car, so a sports car. So I don't know, when I look at wheels, I look at suspension, I look at everything, it's not as expensive as what I was used to in the WRX and STI community. So I definitely feel like I could go a little bit more ham in and all in and up my quality of like the parts that I will be installing onto this car. So definitely another thing too, adding on to that, is like the ownership base, a lot younger. A lot of the people who own this car are definitely in the early 20s, and it's kind of similar to the WRX and STI. The STIs I see more a little bit older crowd, because I feel like they those of us who are a little bit older, we can afford the car, and it's I feel like it's kind of the same thing. The BRZ/GR86 is kind of the affordable version of the Supra. So a lot of the guys who, from what I've observed, who can't necessarily afford the Supra just yet, they hop onto this platform. So again, there's nothing wrong with this platform. This car is definitely very entry level, and I do love it for what it has to offer. But I'm just highlighting and noting what I'm observing, as I'm here in this community. So it is a bummer, man, that there's these trucks in front. I kind of want to go a little bit faster, but yeah, overall, guys, I'm still having a blast with this car. man, I don't look back at all. The only thing is, like, I just, every one of us, we'd always want a little bit more power. And I know very well that if this platform ever gets forced induction from factory, it will kill all the other cells. So this car would, and also it would be a lot more expensive too. And the whole point of it is it's co-created by Subaru and Toyota, and if it's has forced induction from the get-go, it's going to definitely compete with the Supra. And before, when the STI was still around, this would have been a definitely better buy than the STI. So I've driven the STI. I have friends who allow me to drive their car too, especially from stock to full bolt-ons. And as much as I love the STI, I love the feel of the transmission, and I love the look. The wing is definitely very polarizing, but I don't know. I'm learning so much more about what I like, and I was able to kind of just let go of my ego and thoroughly enjoy the fact that a lightweight rear-wheel drive two-door car like this is significantly way more fun and more nimble to thrash around and play with. And I don't have to deal with direct injection issues anymore. I don't have to deal with the blow-by and all that gunk in my intake valve and so forth. So definitely happy that with the collaboration between Toyota and Subaru, this FA24 is now both DI and port injected, so I don't have to necessarily worry about that anymore. So I think this car is going to last a very long time. My WRX hit about 70k miles. I never had any issues with it. The only issue I ever had with it was a personal issue, and that was because there was a little hiccup with me trying to install the Cobb flex fuel kit onto it, and some codes popped up, and at that time it was just the timing. I wanted to flex fuel my car, but I just gotten over a breakup. I just got out of a relationship, and I was experiencing breakups, so I was hella sad, and I was like, I had to shift my priorities around, and so I decided I could have left this with my tuner, with Travis, and have him diagnose it and get my car flex fuel kit, installed and everything good to go. But I was like, let's just stick with the Cobb OTS Stage 2 Plus map, and I'm a happy camper, because my priorities had to be shifted a little bit. But with this car, I have an HKS supercharger kit on my wish list. I don't know if I'll bite the bullet yet. It's only $5,000 to me, and $5,000 isn't that much in the big grand scheme of things. And I think the only annoyance would be smog, since I live here in California, and the whole install part, because from some of the comments I've gathered from people who have already done that, that involves a lot of cutting and trimming and so forth. So I don't know if I'm ready to do that just yet too, and I haven't seen anyone with good numbers with a forced induction and installed into their BRZ or GR86. So I don't know if that $5,000 is necessarily worth it. I think definitely probably lower and mid speed, mid torque will be pretty good, but I think overall this car is perfectly fine the way it is, stock for stock. So I'm definitely looking at a few exhaust options in the near future, but for now, my first item is a bunch of suspension mods. So I wonder what this guy is doing. Okay, okay, before I end this video, let's go for it. See, I turned the fake engine noise off, and I still think this car roars. It still sounds so much better than that fake engine noise. But yeah, guys, I hope you guys like this video. If you do, give it a thumbs up. Otherwise, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.